Hello audience, this is Jack Existential with another video. This is my second attempt at the same video topic, so I'm going to try and keep it with a twist. We're going to be talking about pantheism. Pantheism in the original Greek means pan, all, and theos, meaning divine, so all divine. What does it mean, all divine? Well, in antiquity, the use of the word pan would mean the context of nature. Theos is the context of God. Now, how you apply to God in this sense is you apply God to nature. Everything in nature is God in the mind of the pantheist. We're going to just look at a few people in history and in our contemporary times who were self-described pantheists. They venerated nature above all else, and in some cases they put nature on the same level as us and the most smallest of creatures, most valuable of creatures. Famous pantheists, right here, easy, on the Pantheism.com community. Honestly, that's a really cool website title. So, some faces you might know. Albert Einstein. While he didn't exactly explicitly use the term pantheist in describing himself and his career, he did, however, make a very pantheistic endorsement. So, there's a long quote right here. After he was asked if he would publicly describe himself as a pantheist, he very, very conscionably responded with, I'm going to try and do this in the most German voice imaginable. Your question is the most difficult in the world. It is not a question I can answer simply with yes or no. I am not an atheist. I do not know if I can define myself as a pantheist. The problem involved is too vast for our limited minds. May I not reply with a parable? The human mind, no matter how highly trained, cannot grasp the universe. We are in the position of a little child entering a huge library whose walls are covered to the ceiling with books, many different tongues. The child knows that someone must have written those books. It does not know who or how. It does not understand the languages which they are written. The child notes a definite plan in the arrangement of the books, a mysterious order, which it does not comprehend, but only dimly suspects that it seems to me is the attitude of the human mind. Even in the greatest and most cultured toward God, we see a universe marvelously arranged, obeying certain laws, but we understand the laws only dimly. Our limited minds cannot grasp the mysterious force that sways the constellations. I am fascinated by Spinoza's pantheism. I admire even more his contributions to modern thought. Spinoza is the greatest of modern philosophers because he is the first philosopher who deals with the soul and the body as one, or not only two separate things. Now, I made old Einstein sound a little French there, maybe a little Hungarian as well. I apologize. With that apology out of the way, we can see that Einstein really respects the pantheistic view of life in general. Others followed in his shoes after Einstein, most notably Carl Sagan. He is Neil deGrasse Tyson's predecessor. Quote, "My father believed in the God of Spinoza and Einstein. God, not behind nature, but as nature, equivalent to it." All right, so that was his son describing. That was Carl Sagan's son describing Carl Sagan's view of God, his interpretation of God. A lot of astrophysicists have a profound gravity towards nature worship, even. And this is no secret. And it's not just astrophysicists. Some more names on here include Friedrich Nietzsche. And it's well documented that Nietzsche went on nature walks when he couldn't make money. He couldn't get a job because, of course, he was a philosopher. And also, with that thing on his face, he freaked out a lot of people. So he spent a lot of time alone in the woods and on hiking trails. And it was interesting because it was the first time in at least modern history that a great intellectual, or a self-described great intellectual, and a bit of a public figure, though not really noticed in his time, went out on walks for no particular reason at all. You know, it was also sort of because of his pre-existing God is dead attitude that he gravitated towards the beautiful that he could see around him. The beauty in nature, not the beauty in the words of the Bible. Because the more he read the Bible after his father's death, his father was a preacher, the less he saw that it was beautiful or even with substance. So, in his famous, proclamation, "God is dead, God remains dead, and we have killed him. How shall we, the murderers of all murderers, console ourselves? That which was holiest and mightiest of all the world has yet possessed, has bled to death under our knives. Who will wipe this blood off us? With what water could we purify ourselves? What festivals of atonement, what sacred games shall we need to invent? Is not the greatness of this deed too great for us? Must we not ourselves become gods simply to be worthy of it? There has never been a greater need, and whosoever shall be born after us, for the sake of this deed, he shall be part of a higher history than all history hitherto." The Gay Science, as Nietzsche titled that larger work. While Nietzsche's translator acknowledged that he was an agnostic, meaning he wasn't sure. He wasn't sure about God at the end of the day. That being said, he was not an atheist either. He was definitely not a faithful in that respect either. So, Nietzsche, amongst all scholars of him, is at least agreed that we don't quite understand his position after his acknowledgement that we have killed God in our disbelief. He did prescribe something, Nietzsche, after citing that God is dead, but it wasn't really much to go on. It was pretty vague, put it that way. The God of morality is dead, but what's left after a kind of moral God is just the divine in all its splendor. You know, where do we see that usually? Well, we see that in natural phenomena, according to a pantheist attitude. Natural phenomena, the most awe-inspiring moments outside. You see a comet, you see shooting stars, see a rainbow, or you just stare at a waterfall for hours. And you think to yourself, my God, my pantheist God, this is the divine, and what have we done to it? We've killed the God of morality. Why should we kill this God of nature? That's why movements sprang out of this whole mindset. Environmentalism, Green Day, Earth Day, I should say, sorry, not the band as well, Green Day. But environmentalism takes out the whole terminology of divine and God, and it's just left with the materials that are precious and equate that precious material with our own lives. You know, you wouldn't kill a human being. You wouldn't reap a human being like a field of flowers. So, therefore, there are even proposed global legislatures. And this is how far this sort of new religion has been taken up to the United Nations. In 1992, made proposals for global sustainability in the name of keeping the world, the natural world, intact in its primordial stage for as long as we can and reduce our own footprint, our own civilization footprint on the earth. And as a result, they did propose some very eyebrow-raising ideas on how to achieve this sustainability dream. And when that's sort of taken piece by piece and at a local level, you get things like, well, more bicycle lanes, one lane of traffic on the road. What else? You know, high-rise buildings, skyscrapers, rooftop gardens. You name it, it's probably already in place. And it's experimented too. You know, if they want to do it a little gradually and not make this one big change overnight to say, okay, well, we've completely banned consumer cars, we've banned commercial trucks, so we're going to transport everything by train right now. Every citizen is going to be required to take the bus or public transportation to commute, and that is also within one lane of traffic. So this is the extent that reverence for nature can take in a new religious form. Again, morality, the God of morality, is out of the equation here. You have a God of infinite possibility, and that's applied to a single leaf in this context. So, if we, as human beings, could have infinite potential and infinite possibility, then so can a rock, a shell, an egg. Therefore, you shall not harm the rock. I know we have to harm a few rocks every now and then to build our skyscrapers, pave our roads, and at the end of the day, it's going to leave most of the planet untouched, or at least we'll go back to most of the planet being untouched. We need to curb overpopulation in the pantheist term because we're trying to put nature above ourselves, as we did back before we invented civilization. So, there you have it. This is the new God without really God in it. It's trying to protect and uplift something physical that we, can renew in some cases, but we can't in other cases, at least according to the believers of environmental psychism, or something, a term such as that. You keep the environment in your psyche and your mindset. That's your number one judge when making a decision. How is this going to affect the environment? So, there you have it. Pantheism. I'm Jack Existential. Please comment and subscribe.